Okay, so this video, camera released in 2012, purchased in 2019, and still well, not the only digital camera, but one of the only digital cameras that I shoot till today. And it's only 24 megapixels. Why I do it, what I like about it, what I think you should know about it, and some pictures to follow. So, hang tight, we're about to get into this. Okay, so where do we start? We have a couple things to start with here, and a lot of stuff I want to do, but this is going to be the beginning of it all. The Leica M240 with the 50 Summicron. The Leica M240 was released in 2012, 24 megapixel full frame camera, and I purchased it in 2018. That's pretty crazy. Actually, 2019. Wow, even later. So I purchased it in 2019, making it 7 years after the camera came out. So let's go over a couple things. Most people think these Leica cameras are fully auto, not necessarily true. We have an aperture priority dial, right? You also have, auto ISO. Let's see if we can put it on there. Auto ISO. The ISO goes all the way up to 3200. And it starts at 200. But it does have a pull push thing. So pull 100 and then push to 64. But I think the base is 200 to 3200. And what I've realized after having it for 2 years and shooting with it, I think the best place to keep that sweet spot is 400. The only thing I would say is truly, automatic on this, manual on this bad boy is obviously the focusing, right? It's like all of Leica's no autofocus, except if you got the SLs. The M series manual focus, right? So it's kind of good that you have the aperture priority and the auto ISO because it'll allow you to kind of get used to this whole rangefinder system and focusing. But whenever you want to go full manual, you obviously can. This was the first camera to come out with the movie function. I won't talk too much about the movie function because frame rate, all of that stuff is nothing to really talk about. No in-body stabilization. Lenses obviously don't have image stabilization. So shooting video with this is probably not ideal. So why shoot it, right? Like why get a camera like this and shoot it? Really, I think it's about appreciating the fact that it's a very nostalgic feel. If you shoot film, so such as, if you're coming from this, which is the M3, right? And you go to this, it's kind of an easy transition, right? So I think that's the premise of it all. So purchased in 2019 around March, purchased it from Leica Store DC, and then took it about 2 months after that, shortly to Peru. And that was kind of like my first time truly shooting it. And then obviously the whole time I was in DC, then I moved to San Antonio, Texas, where I'm currently at. And upon arriving here in San Antonio, February of 2020, went on a trip to Cuba, Havana, Cuba, and took it to that as well. I'll post all the pictures of Peru and Cuba and DC at the end of this video. So 2 years of owning it, 2 separate trips of taking lots of pictures. And what I could tell you is that even though this isn't about the lens, the 50 Summicron, shooting at so Summicrons are f2, right? And they go to 16, but f4 is kind of the sweet spot for this lens. And as I said, for the Leica M240, ISO 400, and then you just play with the speed, right? Whatever speed you want, but that is the ideal setting I have found for this camera. Back of it, just so you can see reference, and you know, very sleek, not a lot of buttons, not a lot of craziness. Kind of what I like about it. Takes a while to get used to if you've never shot a rangefinder, but it's not too complicated. Okay, let's look at some pictures. Oh, important piece. So this video is not sponsored by anything. No Nike, no Leica Store DC. The only thing truly sponsoring this video is probably my wallet and my bank account. And that's a hefty sponsorship. Okay, back to the video. So this is the M240 and the 50 Summicron taking the club. Low light situation. Truly the only light is coming from our cell phone. I think it held up pretty good. The next image is of the Chinatown arches in DC, midday. Also, like I've said, not too much tweaking. I really don't do much. Maybe exposure. That's pretty much it. And then these next two images are taken in the Federal Triangle, also in DC. These are just the black and white images you can get from the M240. Just want to insert those so you guys can see what the black and white would look like coming straight out of camera. And then we have the next two segments are taken from Peru. Once again, not really messing with it. This is a shaded area, so not a lot of light, all natural light coming in from like the ceiling and a couple of cracks. Really not an enclosed area, but kind of enclosed, just branches and stuff like that, stuff of that nature. And then the last two are Havana, Cuba. And that's just midday out and about, walking. Once again, same camera, same lens. That should give you a good idea of what this camera is capable of. Okay, I've been working on this video for about an hour, maybe. Every time I do something, I videotape a little part, I realize that I'm leaving a major part out. And because I've been working on it so long, it's obviously gonna be dark. I don't want to turn on these lights because everything turns yellowish. So let me just open the shade real fast. I think that's good. That's probably good. Okay, so hope you liked all the images. Obviously, I tweaked them a little bit in Lightroom. I don't do a lot. I kind of like the look straight out of camera. However, I do want to say that that Leica look that people talk about, I think they're mostly from the JPEG files. The way the camera burns in that preset that it has, you know, their colors and all that stuff. But much like everyone else and myself, you always want to play with the shadows and pull things and do what you want to do. So we tend to use what Leica has is the DNG files, which is equivalent to a raw file. So use the DNG files, tweak them a little bit, nothing major. So what you saw is my edited versions. But other than that, this image is just pretty much straight out of camera. Maybe next time I'll do some comparisons of like what I do and what the JPEG looks like. Yeah, next round I'll try that. But there you go, 2 years with the camera, one camera, one lens, very minimal editing. Hope you liked it. I think it's still a good camera to get. 24 megapixels is more than enough for me. I've done all those images, as you can see. Those are printed 13 by 19s, so I mean, it worked. Appreciate you guys following along. I'm gonna go through all the cameras, a review of all my cameras. So next I'll probably do the Leica Q. And then I'll jump into some film cameras, so the Leica M3, and see what happens from there. But till then, appreciate all you. Have fun, enjoy, and I hope you got something out of this. I don't know.